curve backwards. When you are bitten by an animal with teeth that point backwards, it's going to rip a chunk of flesh out of you. But they're up against a much bigger adversary, so they've got to work in unison. The raptors rush in initially in hopes of startling the herd. If they can separate him, they have a better chance of taking him on.
Terrified and disoriented, the herd stampedes. Their immense legs make a deafening sound.
They do this for two reasons. Number one, they do it because they want to get away from the attacker. But the second reason why they do it is because when you run, it exposes the weakest guy, and that's the one the predators are going to focus on. Out of all the hiding places, the raptors rush in. The pack works in unison, much like modern-day wolves do, to bring down bigger prey. They burst out of their hiding places, and their job is to inflict as much injury as they can.
The raptors seem to come from everywhere at once, at times leaping more than 10 feet in the air.
Deinonychus are incredibly fast, agile, they're very swift predators. Tenotosaurus is a very heavy, slow, lumbering animal. There's a couple of key weaknesses in Tenotosaurus. Number one, it's his unprotected throat. There is no armor, and the throat is one of the places the Deinonychus are going to focus. Number two, it's his unguarded flanks. Tenotosaurus' side is like a huge billboard with a big bullseye on it that says, "Strike here." The Deinonychus are absolutely going to go for his unprotected flanks. If you can cut through the thick hide and expose the guts, that is what's going to debilitate that Tenontosaurus and take him out of the battle before it even begins.
Instinctively, Tenontosaurus fights back.
They're harmless, but they're not defenseless. They've got an exceptionally long tail. Their tail is almost the length of the rest of their body. Their tail is sort of designed like a baseball bat. Interconnecting rods connect each vertebra and give it a stiffened appearance. It's not wiggly like a crocodile's tail. This thing is a weapon.
One swing of the tail scatters the pack.
Although Deinonychus is a nasty dude and he's got some pretty wicked weapons, he still has a very light bird-like skeletal structure. A direct hit from a tail could end that guy's life. His hand claws and foot claws can be broken pretty easily in combat. So even though he's got these wicked weapons, he's still got to be cautious about how he uses them.
The other raptors scramble to regroup. Then they strike again from every direction.
One of the favorite attack methods of the raptors is what we call the slash and dash. Rush in, you slash them with your hand claws, and you hope that you inflict a series of injuries, and then you dash to safety. You allow your prey to slowly bleed to death. The problem is, because of the thickness of Tenontosaurus's hide, that attack doesn't do much damage. That's like attacking a rhinoceros with a fork. At the end of the day, you've got a bent fork and a pissed-off rhinoceros.
The raptors quickly up the ante. Deadly, swift menace with a singular goal. Kill.
They take the claws from their hands and dig them into that deep hide and hang on. Raising their foot, curling down their two toes, that brings their killing claws forward, and they begin to slice and cut the Tenontosaurus.
The raptor strikes hard with its lethal killing claw. The Tenontosaurus launches an unexpected counterattack.
Once the Deinonychus land on his back, that Tenontosaurus is going to roll over using his weight to crush them. It would be like being run over by a one-ton truck. The bones would snap and break like pencils.
Two raptors now lie dead, while the wounded Tenontosaurus is still standing.
The raptors are losing too many members of the pack. The Tenontosaurus is able to repel assault after assault. Slash and dash didn't work. This full confrontation is not working. Two 2,000 pounds of Tenontosaurus against a 150-pound raptor is not an even fight, and he crushes them.
The raptors are forced to retreat. A powerful storm is brewing. Night is falling.
They're not going to follow the Tenontosaurus because they don't want to keep him on high alert. They'll wait for nightfall and follow his blood trail. They'll know where he goes.
Weak and bleeding, the Tenontosaurus searches for cover, his only hope of getting out alive.
He realizes that by moving into the trees, it's going to be harder for the Deinonychus to have room to maneuver. He finds a grove of trees and moves in and hopes that nothing occurs overnight.
But to the raptors, darkness is a trusted friend.
Now they'll switch over to their #1 most effective hunting method, night vision.
The stage is set. The final devastating showdown looms ahead. And in this battle, there can only be one outcome. Winner takes all. Bloodthirsty raptors have targeted a 2,000-pound Tenontosaurus separated from the herd. To survive this life-or-death struggle, the hulking herbivore must rely on its sheer size. The raptors countered with stealth, speed, numbers, and yet one more advantage.
They've got excellent night vision. As the storm off in the distance moves closer, the raptors realize they can use the sound of thunder to muffle their footsteps and the vibrations of their foot. They move in for the final assault.
With quick, erratic moves and the predatory intelligence of a giant bird of prey, the pack mounts its final ambush.
This spot is designed perfectly to play into the strengths of Deinonychus. There's a raised ridge behind the Tenontosaurus. It's the perfect launch site for an aerial, silent attack.
The environment also favors the raptors. Tenontosaurus is now at the mercy of his merciless attackers.
Under attack, Tenontosaurus has got to have his senses working at peak strength. Sight is going to be important because he's got to see where the attack is coming from. Sound is absolutely important as it becomes dark. You've got to hear where your attackers are. And the sense of smell is vitally important because it allows him to figure out where those raptors are out in that darkness.
Trapped in a thick grove of trees, Tenontosaurus is helpless. His immense weight and powerful tail useless. The raptors fly into action with white-hot intensity.
Now they're able to dig their claws deep into his side. Using their hand claws, they're holding on. But it's the killing claw on their foot that helps them dig deep into the flesh. Once they begin to slice open, the internal organs of the Tenontosaurus will spill out onto the ground.
The assault intensifies. The raptors are now in an all-out feeding frenzy.
As he fights for his life throughout this horrific assault, the Tenontosaurus still manages to kill 4 more members of the raptor pack. But after an exhausting effort, this dinosaur finally loses consciousness and falls to the ground. The alpha male raptor grabs the prey by the throat and begins to crush its windpipe. The remaining raptors take advantage and begin to feed on the internal organs of the Tenontosaurus. Like a pack of wolves, these Deinonychus are fighting for the best parts.
The speed, intelligence, and cunning of the raptors is too much for the lumbering beast. With
this banquet of Tenontosaurus guts laid out in front of him, the alpha male asserts his dominance and pushes away the rivals for the tastiest morsels.
Off in the distance, thunder